What is up, YouTube? So I have this X-Men 137, not a super valuable book, not a major key, anything like that, that I wanted to make look better. Now I could go out and probably buy a nice copy of this book for, I don't know, 15 bucks or so, but I'd rather use that money elsewhere, and I already own the book. And you can see we got some staining here in the book that I don't know if I can get out. The other interesting thing about this book, it's not a square bound, but it's one of those oversized Bronze Age books that they literally top staple all the pages together, and then they put the cover on, they glue the cover on after. So the staples aren't typical. They don't go through the centerfold and out the side. They go right from the top out the bottom. So if you over press this book, you will see these staples start to poke through, and we don't want that either. So anybody that cleans and presses books will tell you they hate pressing these things because they suck, and I agree with them. But this video is not going to be for pressing purposes. It's going to be for hopefully some stain removal, because I do want to try to get these stains out. And you've probably seen in some of my other videos where I do a double hop, which is basically you take 2 sheets of paper with a peroxide water mix. You sandwich the cover, you put some silicone parchment papers under it, and you put it under heat to hope to draw the staining out of the whole cover. This isn't going to be a full double hop, but I am going to use peroxide, but I'm only going to use it in these areas. So what I'm going to do is I want to lightly add some moisture to this cover. Not a ton of moisture, just a little bit. And then I'm going to apply peroxide mix to the stained areas and put overlays, which you might hear in a lot of videos. Overlays is a sheet of paper, a sheet of plain printing paper. That's all it is. So when you hear overlay, just know it's a sheet of paper. I'll put overlays under the cover, on top of the cover, with some silicone parchment paper, just like I would do a double hop, except I'm not drenching this entire cover. And the reason I'm not doing that is because whenever you do a double hop, yes, it does remove stains, but that moisture and that peroxide does add damage to your book. And in my case, from my experience, you see it at the spine because you're adding extra water and chemicals to a book. You're putting it under heat, something's going to give. So I don't want to overdo it. That's why I'm just going to try this. And you might see this done, a lot of guys do it with a tack press. They'll get a Q-tip, put a little peroxide on, and then hit it with a tack press with a piece of paper to try to lift that stain out. It's the same concept, except I don't have a tack press, so I'm going to use my heat press. Okay, so I have my metal plate ready, and I have silicone parchment paper down on it. And I have a silicone parchment paper under the cover. Sorry, that was the press heating up. Then I'm going to take the overlay, underlay, whatever you want to call it, the freaking sheet of paper. And I'm going to put it on top of that parchment paper, but under the cover. And why, you're asking, is because this will stop moisture from going to the rest of the book. This will absorb some moisture and will also absorb some staining. All right, and then I have my 2 spray bottles. This is distilled water. This is peroxide cut in half with distilled water. So if you buy I think it's the 5% peroxide, and you cut it in half with water, you got a 2.5% peroxide mix. Another thing I will say is never spray directly on your book. You can spray on an overlay, you can spray on other things. Don't spray because you'll get globs and they just do bad things. So I am going to take a cotton round and I'm going to spray some water on this, not over the book. So this is just damp, not soaked. And why I do that is I feel like the peroxide actually penetrates into the book a little better when it's slightly damp, slightly pliable. Because if you go peroxide right on a dry book, it doesn't seem to get the same penetrating effect. And that might sound weird because you would think that the moisture would dilute the peroxide mix, but I'm really not adding a ton of moisture to this book by doing this, just a little bit. Be nice if this came off with water, but of course it doesn't. Okay, now I'm going to take another cotton round and I'm going to get some peroxide on this, and I'm going to try to rub it into these stained area. So, same dampness. And I'm just going to apply it to the stained areas. And now overlay silicone paper and then onto the middle plate. Right, so I have the press at 160, which for this application you could even go a little hotter if you want, because you're not doing it to press the book, you're doing it for heat, for the stain removal. And you don't even really have to clamp this down, but I'm going to, so I'm going to keep it super loose to where it's barely pressing on the book at all. Remember, I said it's that square bound type book, so I don't want to damage the book in the process. And I'm going to leave this in here for like 5 minutes, and I could take it out and it might be a total waste of time and a bust and a stain didn't come out. But I'm going to show you what it does, and hopefully it does take at least some of that staining out of that cover. Right. See if we got any type of improvement. I'm going to judge by the paper. I don't see anything. Tiny bit. So, not much. So, I mean, it's a little lighter of the outer ring. They look a little smaller. It's a little crisper in that area, but overall, not much that came out of that. And I don't even know if the full double hop will get this out, because it looks like grease or something. But it did lighten them a little bit. So, I don't want to say I'm happy with it. It's kind of what I expected, but I thought it was worth a try, because sometimes if it's a light stain, it will get it out a little bit, but you won't know until you try. If this wasn't like oil or whatever it is, some type of mud, it probably would have lifted most of it out. Sometimes when you get like that dark water stain-ish color on a white, that peroxide will brighten it right up and get it out. But more stubborn stains, they are what they are. They're in your book and you got to deal with them or get a new book. So hope you like that tutorial. I know it didn't come out the way we all planned, but I just wanted to show how you could possibly remove some stains. If you like the video, click that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time, because I could do this all day.